Remember, remember, the 5th of November, gunpowder, treason and plot. I see no reason why gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. Hello again, Flosstube. One day I'm going to get used to doing this. This is my probably an honest August, September, October, running into November update. So late summer, autumn seasonal update. As you know, I haven't been doing as many videos as I normally would. I've not been doing my monthly updates. So that means I've had quite a bit of information to talk about and things to talk about. So I'm splitting these all up into segments. So this segment is going to be about what I've been either working on in autumn and what I'll continue to work on through November. Some of it will go into December, but it's more seasonal. Now, the reason my rotation has changed, normally I follow, as you know, normally I follow the Stitch Maynia sales, so I would have one focus piece a month and maybe a small little ornament to finish, which I would have done with Stitch Maynia. Obviously I didn't really participate in Stitch Maynia this year properly, all because of moving and really a whole complete lifestyle change, if I'm completely honest. Going back to work full time, moving, some major family changes, and as it's just changed everything. And obviously with just having to get by on what needs to happen, you know, like eating and stuff, as well as sort of then trying to find a little bit of time to get some my own time, I'm slowly starting to feel like I'm getting to that point. Not as much as I should. I'm looking at it thinking, there's not as much as there should be there, but equally I'm not feeling as guilty about having my own time as I was, and that could possibly be because the house has moved on a little bit from being pretty awful to, you know, at least we have signs of progress, but it's nowhere near finished, and there's some real big projects that need to be done to the house still. So I expect into 2019, most of 2019 and maybe even 2020, I'm hoping to have the house done by 2020, or at least to a standard where you don't mind maintenance and things that need to be redone and retouched up, but that you're not sort of thinking, wow, you know, this is from the 70s and it's an original and it was pretty much tasteless then. So you can imagine what some of it looks like now. So yeah, I just having that, and so you feel like any free time, when there is little of it and there's any free time, you just want to spend sorting out the house so that you don't feel unsettled and unhappy with your surroundings. And that's, I like to, everyone's taste is different and everyone's priorities are different, but for me it's always been, I've always liked to have, and it's not about expense, but I've always liked to have things I like around me, and someone could walk in and go, God, I hate this, and it's like, fine, that's cool, but it's what and the problem is that it's a very slow progress, and to get to that point for me, plus then working full time, plus then there's been some major changes family wise, having all that impact in really what was the last 8 months has really kind of jigged me up, taken its toll. There's loads of stuff, but what I do know is after going to the Milton Keynes retreat at the end of October and just spending time with the lovely ladies there and actually having this uninterrupted stitchy time, how much I really do need stitching and how much I really do enjoy it, and that I do need to, you know, yes, the plasterwork could take another, like, you know, sealing coat, but you know what, I'm working full time all week, so I'm not going to be doing it this week, and that sort of thing. And it's guilt free, as opposed to going get it done. Oh look, no more stitchy time. Now you're working all the time, and this sort of thing. And I'm not doing that anymore, because it's not, nothing's getting done quick enough. It's fine sort of, you know, throwing it down and getting it all done if it's in an intense short period of time. But we're 9 months in and it just wasn't working, or 8-9 months in, and it's just not working. That's just not working. And I've still got at least, like I said, another year of it, and I thought, I can't do that to myself. It's just ridiculous. So yeah, I've become, maybe it's the change in the season, maybe it's autumn and winter, and you get that feeling of, like, you know, nestling down. The weather's changed, it's cold, stay indoors, nestle down and get that nice feeling, you know, of it's all miserable outside, but it's okay because you're warm inside. I hope I'll be warm inside. Let's not even go there. But yeah, at least I'll be indoors. But yeah, so, and you know, you just think, maybe it's that, maybe that's making me feel like, no, me time. And even if it's borderline selfish, don't care. Right now, don't care. That's it. But yeah, so I think that's my little sort of semi-rant to myself, so that when I can look back at this and think, what are you talking about, you strange person? Nobody wants to know this. I know what it means. And I'm telling myself, take the time, feel no guilt. Anyway, I'm going to talk about what I've been stitching on probably for August. And like I said, my stitching and everything has changed. Now, I used to follow Stitch Maynia sales. I'm not doing that as much at the moment. There's several reasons for this. I do have my own craft room, which sounds fabulous. It's not decorated, it's not done. There's loads of work going on. It's just partly dumping room, partly it's, I just can't go up there and sit there and relax when I'm looking surrounded by stuff. That's just not me. So what I've been doing is stitching stuff either in hand or on Q-snaps. Now that means I'm portable, so I could stitch in the bedroom, I can stitch in the lounge, I can stitch it, I can move around. That suits me, but it does change what I can stitch on. So for example, I wanted to have 2 focus months on creation this year, and that hasn't happened. Now I love that sampler, and I've got a place for it in my lounge. Like, you know, it will benefit my house, but I just can't, I just haven't got the space or the room to sit down, and sometimes time is an issue for me. So to get everything ready and get in the flow of it, that at some point will change, and when it does, I'll be on it, and that's what I'll get it done, because I do really love that piece. But really, I've just got to work on things that I can kind of pick up, I can move around and it not be, you know, too much of a issue. So that's why my stitching's changed. It's also changed in the perspective of, you know, as I'm decorating, and I envision, I always tend to look at pieces and kind of have an idea of how I'm going to finish them. And I want to try, and if there's a series and I want to do the series, I kind of want to get the series done. That's how I feel. So probably it's easier for me to explain by showing you what I mean. So the first one, first thing I've been stitching on is the Cuore Batticuore Autumn Garden. Now, I did actually stitch one of these. It was the Summer Garden, and I've got all 4. I started the Winter Garden as my Christmas project last year, and it was like, just get these done. They're not all going to hang up together. They're literally going to be seasonal, but get them done. You know, you want to do them, so just have them done. So come September, I just pick it up and I work on it a little bit. So it's not like it's the only focus piece, but it's seasonal. So basically, if it's autumn, I'll work on this. And actually, I've managed to get further than I thought. So this is my progress on it. It's on a huge Q-snap so far. So I've actually managed to get, considering this didn't have any stitching on it, I've actually managed, and I've got to do at least an hour today on it. because I'm off today. Yeah, so I've managed to get these done. So then I'll have another 3 and I'll have the autumn garden written at the top, and then I've just got to fill in the names of the flowers, so all plants. But yeah, because then that'll be another one that I can turn into a wall hanging and have on display, and it's another piece, you know, that I really enjoy doing, and it's seasonal. So in the autumn, this is what I will stitch on. So come December, finished or not, this will be going down, be putting away until next time. So this is stitched on vintage 32 count Belfast vintage Sahara, sorry, just Sahara by Zweigart, and it's like a yellowy, it's the printed fabric, so that they do. So it's got like a yellowy tinge. Obviously they did have the vintage vintage mocha, country mocha, but actually I think the browns would have clashed with that, so I thought a yellow would still be autumnal but keep it sort of the colours schemes that I'd be interested in stitching. I don't know whether the camera, whether I'm, oh, whatever. And this is sort of threads, probably easier to see it that way. Now I've changed the way, and I'm not going to go in depth about it, but I have changed the way, or slowly converting over the way I used to have all my threads on bobbins, but this is what it does to the thread. I don't know if you can see, it kind of puts little kinks in it, and that bugs me massively. So I've been slowly converting these over. Obviously you've had mischievous stitchers, and the kitten stitcher got beautiful thread drops, and I'm sure there's plenty of other people. Mine are leftover bits of paper or cardstock with a little label, that's it. But I am all into these hoops because they just make my life a lot simpler, so I will definitely be ordering more of these. I picked these up from Sarah Marnie at Marnie's Mixed Bag at the retreat, so I will put her information down below. So especially for the UK stitchers, might be a good source for you to get some. But yeah, but these are, I just look at these colours and I just think, yes, these are so autumny, these colours, representative of autumn. So yeah, so that's my Cuore Batticuore autumn garden. This is, I'll show you my summer. This is what I finished last year, but this is what I intend to do with it. So this is the summer garden. You can never see, you can see the writing in person, but you can never see it on the screen. This was stitched on vintage blue by Zweigart on 32 count Belfast, and I finished it into a wall hanging, and obviously this will go out in the summer. Can you see my intention now that I will have the autumn, get the autumn done. Spring, I've got all the fabric for these things. The spring one I'll start in March, and the winter one I already started, but I'll continue to work on. I didn't get much progress on this at all. This is the one that you do have to change because all of the others fit on there. You don't get a massive amount of border. I was asked this before. You don't really get too much of a border left, but I knew I was turning it into a wall hanging. This, I think, on 32 count, that possibly may be an issue depending on how you was going to frame it. But because I was turning it into a wall hanging, I knew I wouldn't need a lot left. I think it's 2 inches either side. On 32 count, you'll fit the whole design. You're okay top and bottom. But not for the winter pattern. So to fit it on a fat quarter, and I know they're not going to be all next to each other, but you know, you kind of allocate that space and you want it roughly that sort of size. It meant that I would have to stitch it on 40 count. So for the winter one, it will be stitched on pearl, it's on pearl grey linen, obviously Newcastle linen by Zweigart, and it's 40 count. And that's how far I got in, I think I only stitched it in December last year, whereas I'll stitch it December, January and February because the winter months for this this side of the hemisphere. and I think that's a cyclamen, they are. But yes, it's very pretty and very delicate, and needs to be worked on. But obviously I can put it in a Q-snap and just get on with it. And then that means that come March, even though I'll be putting my first stitches in there, they'll all be kind of on their way. They're all getting there, and then I can just get them done. Even if I work on them, pick them up at least once a week and get some stitches in, at least they're getting done, because it's just silly that they're just sitting there. And I do want to do them, so it's not like I don't. So the next thing that I've been working on, which is probably a bit more seasonal, was a new start that I had at the retreat. And that is, I'm stitching this all in the recommended hand-dyed threads, and that is a bowl full of scaries, scary 1. And that's where I am with her, stitching her on 32 count. I thought it was 36, it's not, it's 32. So yeah, I'm stitching her there. I'm not too sure, you know, being controversial, I'm not too sure about the snake. So I'm gonna stitch everything else and then go from there. If I like the snake, then I may put it in. But otherwise I'm thinking, you know, bats, witches, cauldrons. It's scary. But yeah, so I'm enjoying that. So I'll stitch on this. Hopefully I will finish it in this month of November. But if I don't, then I don't know what I'm going to do. Basically, I'm winging it. It's what I can pick up and what I can stitch on. But possibly, you know, focusing for autumn and getting those sort of things done. I know Halloween's gone, but it's still autumn. And considering I didn't start that until a couple of days before Halloween, there was no way I was going to get it finished. So that's one of the things I've been working on. Now, you may have seen, I'm going to just pause, hold on. Sorry about that interruption. Story of my life. You know, I try to stitch an hour a day sometimes on projects, or just an hour on a project, and the other day it took me, and I like to get a full hour, and the other day it took me 3.5 hours to do a full hour that was uninterrupted, blah 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 blah. So just to give you an idea of what it can be like sometimes. So this is sort of moving on to, ironically, quite wintry, Christmas themed, but there's a reason. I purchased the Gingerbread Village now, when did that come out? 2 or 3 years ago, and didn't manage to keep up with it, moved, other things took over, but I kind of, and then I thought, oh, I'm going to turn them into sort of 3D models, and I've decided against that for the moment, and I've had an idea of finishing them into tart tins because they're gingerbread, and having a sort of a food theme, and at the moment that's kind of sticking around. But the beautiful, these are by Country Cottage Needleworks, if you're unaware, and they've just released a new series called Glitter Village, which I looked at and I thought, oh, that's what I would do with that straight away. But I am quite good, and I will not start a new series if there's a series that I haven't already finished, especially by the same designer. So it's kind of kicked my bum into gear to get these done. So I try and put at least an hour into these, and I'll be taking them to work. There won't be an hour that I can stitch at work, but just to get in a couple of little stitches each time to sort of get through them. I've just started one. I finished one at retreat, and I've just started the next one, and I think after that I've got 4, so they won't be finished for Christmas, but just to get it done, and then that way when another design comes out in the future, that if I want to do that, then that's what I'll do. because I don't want too many whips as much as I want to stitch all the things, and certainly having a very limited stitching time has made me kind of really want to start loads of things, because I'm thinking I'm never going to get to start this stuff that I really want to stitch. Equally, having too much of it won't be helpful either. And bear in mind, every year, through the year, designers bring out things that you're going to want to stitch, so it's a good idea to keep on top of it, or at least try to stitch the things that you want to stitch. So that being said, the one that I finished at the retreat is the Gingerbread Village House 4. I haven't put any of the buttons on because until I actually fully finish it, then I won't, because of ironing and things. It's easier to do it without a button on it. So this is the one I finished at the retreat. So this is actually on platinum, 32 count platinum. So these will be quite big tart tins, and I do have them, courtesy of my mum, thanks, to actually put them in and then have them on display. And I haven't 100% decided how I'm going to display them yet, but I just think that that would look really nice with a theme, gingerbread village in a tart tin, foodie theme. So that's what I'm what I'm aiming for. So yeah, I got that done, trying to get motivated to keep doing it. And then this is the next one that I've been working on an hour at a time. So this is Gingerbread House 5. And this was an hour's worth of work yesterday. So I'm off today, so I'll try and put another hour at least in there. And it's like chipping away at it until they're done. Like I said, I don't expect to have them done before Christmas, but just to know that they're done would be really nice, and then to try and keep on top of things like that when I get them done. So they're stitched in all the recommended threads. I bought those from the Patchwork Rabbit on auto ship payment, like I said, a couple of years ago. I don't know if you can hear my stomach, I'm really sorry. I don't know what it's doing, it's just talking to me because I'm not even that hungry. It's just moaning. So even though that's sort of Christmassy themed, it's because I want to get it done. So even if I don't get it done in the winter, Christmas, winter, and have to go into spring, I just need to get them done because they're just going to be loitering around forever. So not quite seasonal stitching, more just get it done stitching. That being said, I did buy myself something and do a new start that I had no business starting, but logic has gone out the window at this point, I think. I'm trying to keep to a plan, but who am I kidding? So that's the new Little House Needleworks Hometown Holidays Clockmaker, finished by our very own Vonna Pfeiffer, the Twisted Stitcher. Go check her out, she's great for working. She shows you great tutorials on how to finish things. I love her aesthetic, design aesthetic as well. I think she really complements a lot of the pieces that, you know, she finishes. And I will be, obviously not exactly, because I don't necessarily want to finish these into cushions, but I love the colour choices that she makes. I love the colour choices that she makes and things, and I will be looking to do something very similar. My plan of action for these is to get these stitched. I only want them quite small, so I'm stitching them on 36 count and I'm stitching them on flax. Is to get these stitched, not necessarily all of them, but just as they come out, which I know I'm like 20 behind now anyway, and have my own little Christmas village, stitched Christmas village. That's my intention. I'm probably going to put them on a, I think I worked it out to a 5x5 inch dummy, square sort of dummy, polystyrene dummy would fit these really nicely, and I thought it'd be nice to sort of lay them out. Now I have things like windowsills and stuff I can put things on. Don't really have to worry about sun damage with these either, because I'm in England and the sun doesn't really come out during the winter. So that's those. I am stitching them with the recommended threads, and they're here for that particular pattern. They're here. So some are classic colourworks and some are DMCs. There's actually more DMCs than classic colourworks. There's only 3 classic colourworks, the rest is in DMC. But yeah, so that's what I'm stitching, and again I'll put some time in as and when. This isn't necessarily a priority, but, and that is super diddy. So this is the flax, and like I said, it's Edinburgh, so it's 36 count. And I'm stitching this 1/2. So by the time it's finished, it'll be quite a small little piece, which will be nice, especially if I want to create a village scene. So that's something that I'll be working on during the Christmas period, although I'm working on it now in the autumn time, but I think it's just because I wanted a new start. But I should be able to get that done, chipping away at it. And then the next piece is after I finished my Serra Hardiman sampler, which if you watch my other video, that's where that's at, which was originally my sampler Sundays. It's now just samplers from the Antiques and Needleworks quarterly. Like I said in my other video, I haven't completely abandoned the idea of sampler Sunday, just at the moment that doesn't work for me. So I've been stitching on, once I've got some of my little priority pieces out the way, or seasonal pieces, then I pick this up and get this stitched. So if I've got the opportunity, I'll insert a picture here, a better quality picture of the actual finished stocking. It's called Christmas Sampler Stocking, and this is where I am at the moment, which is why it's odd in shape. And I'm stitching this on 32 count Belfast in gold raw. So although it's a sampler, and normally I wouldn't put a sampler on opalescent fabric, I am going to finish this as a decorative stocking, not to be used. And I just thought it would be really pretty to have a little bit of sparkle on that one. I will say there is some 1/1 stitching in this, not currently. I'm really struggling with my eyesight on the raw to do 1/1, and I have done 1/1 on 32 count before, so I know that that's not necessarily the issue. The opalescent does slightly mess with my eyes, and I think it's just a case of getting used to it. I've done the Cuore Batticuore piece, which was Sweet Christmas, and that was on silver raw, and I really liked that. But maybe because I was working on it all the time, I got used to it. Because at first it did best with my eyes, but to do 1/1 might be a bit more of an issue. So I'm not 100% sure that I'm going to do the small parts of it that are 1/1. I may actually put embellishments on there instead, which I think would look equally as nice. I haven't decided, but I'm sure you'll find out next time I show it. But so this is to do with the samplers. So although it's conveniently coming up to Christmas time, this is actually more to do with the samplers and stitching sampler style. So obviously eventually that will say Noel. There is some speciality stitches, not many. You've got the 4-sided cross stitch, which is basically almost like going around the square. You've got the eyelet stitches, satin stitches are here. Then you've got the rice stitches here, and this is a Montenegrin stitch, which is here, and then you're going back to the eyelets again in the red. And again, I have changed some of the colours on here. They are very sort of 80s, and I've kept some of them, as you can see, the pinks and reds and things. They are a little bit 80s, 90s. But I have blended some of the classic colourworks with the DMC, and again you can still see some of the variation still coming through. So swings and roundabouts, but I'm happy with it, and I think it'll be a nice piece, and it'll just be a decorative piece that I'll hang on my fireplace. Sorry, kick the stool. Hang on my fireplace as and when I'm ready. So I've also been working on that, and I'll continue to do so. I think the way it works out, because I try and pick a piece from every year, because they come out quarterly, so you get 4 a year, and I tried to pick out my favourite piece from each year as my next sampler thing. And the way it's worked out is that I think the next 3 years after this, there's a stocking in each one that I really want to stitch, so potentially I could be stitching stockings for a long time. But yeah, they're really sweet, and this one, as you can probably see from the picture, has got like an angel at the bottom, which is really cute. So it was recommended to stitch on 28 count, I believe. Yeah, 28 count, and I'm stitching it on 32 because I'm a rebel without a cause. So that's my sort of autumn, what I'm working on currently, or will be to the end of November, sort of rotating out, shifting it around, whatever I fancy. But as you've noticed, all of it is either in hand or on a Q-snap. None of it is sort of like the big pieces where I have to put it on a frame. So that's kind of the aesthetic, that's kind of the thing that I'm going for at the moment, sort of a bit seasonal. Obviously some of the things that I want to chip away at to get them done and get some of the things finished, so that it's almost like starting afresh, so that next year hopefully I'll have a bit more grasp on time and things, and then I can readjust as and when. I'll show you sort of mid-video my fabrics of the month that I'm a little bit probably behind on. So this is Sparklies. I'm part of the Fabric of the Month Club for Sparkly, and I order a fat quarter of 32 count Belfast linen, and I get that monthly, and this was for the month of September, and this is called, wow, yeah, that's right, this is called Dark Goddess, and it's stunning. I haven't quite decided what I'm going to put on this yet, but it is fabulous. So that was my fabric of the month from Kate at Sparklies. So do go and check out her fabrics, they're awesome. She was also at the retreat. It was great catching up with her and seeing her, and her son, who's also a stitcher. And then this is what I picked out as well at the retreat for my October fabric of the month. This is called Pumpkin Patch. It's on 32 count Belfast linen, fat quarter again, and this colour is awesome. I'd wear this colour. Don't you find that with hand dyed sometimes? You look at it and you think, I'd wear that. It's looking a bit washed out, but it's not. It's think, what have you got to think? Think apricot and apricot colours with orange, and it's called Pumpkin Patch. It is pumpkin-y colour. It's fabulous. It's looking washed out on this screen, and it's not. It's a lot more orange, a deeper colour than that. It's really, really good. So I will not have a problem finding a project for that one. So they're my two fabrics of the month from Sparklies. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to discuss, because I don't know when I'm going to be able to do another video. I know I've got my retreat video coming up where I can share and talk about my secret stitcher, but I don't know when I'm going to be able to do another video. I keep wanting to keep on top of things. I can't guarantee it, so I'm going to sort of talk about what I do know that I'm going to do. So come December, normally in my rotation I would stitch Christmas projects in November and December. That's kind of true to some extent. As you can see, I've got 3 Christmas projects that I'm picking, well, that one is conveniently Christmassy themed, the sampler one, but 2 other Christmas projects that I can pick on out of the 5 to stitch on. But come December, it will be a lot more wintry in theme that I'll be looking at stitching, and a lot more Christmas orientated. So that's my plan of action, is to stitch things like that. So I'll show you what I want to try and get done. Now we know that what I would normally do is have a focus piece, which would be the Cuore Batticuore, which I've already showed, the winter garden. That will be being stitched on, but that will be being stitched on from December all the way through to the end of February for the winter bit. I just have piles of stuff. Piles and piles of stuff. That's why you shouldn't leave it so long to do a video. So here's some of the things, Christmassy things, that I want to dip into and get done. Firstly, chip away at that gingerbread village, keep going with that. Secondly, some stuff that I started, although I did finish for Stitch Maynia. I want to complete the set of these Prairie Schoolers Old World Santas too, and I really like the way they've finished them, so I'm going to be replicating something very similar to that and have them on display. So I would like to get them done, not necessarily all of them, but see how far I get with some of the other stuff. It's a dipping into bag. Should I think, actually I would rather stitch one of those, and that's what I'll do, but I've stitched 2 of them already. And this is stitched on 32 count parchment by Sparklies, and again you can't really see the fabric, but it's absolutely fabulous, and this is a really go-to fabric for me. I really like this one, so I'll definitely be getting some more of this. But these are the 2 Santas that I've managed so far. I've actually worked it out that on a fat quarter there's 8 of them. Yes, there's 8 of them, and if you fold the fabric you could do 4 at the top and 4 at the bottom, and then that gives you enough either side for finishing. So that's why they look like this. So yeah, they'll be being chipped away at each time. So that's 1 there, and that's 1 there. I really like these, and I like the fact that they're not all in red. I don't always necessarily like red Santas all the time. I like it mixed up a little bit. So that's the Prairie School Old World Santas. That's one of the options come December that I'll be dipping into. I think I spoke in my last video about the Magi that I started for Stitch Maynia, and I showed you this finish. This is Balthazar. So these are Mill Hill kits. You get the whole kit. Obviously you do get the perforated paper, which I had no intention of using. I was going to stitch them on fabric. So this is 28 count even weave. This is called Moonlighting, and this is also by Sparklies. And again, you can't pick up, but this is the one I finished, which is Balthazar. These are going to be a bit more of a priority piece. Obviously I've got the other 2, which is Gaspar and Melchior. So this is Melchior. So this is how far I've got with him, because that was to do with Stitch Maynia. So I would like to try and get these completed, and at the moment I'm looking at potentially finishing them in a flat fold style, in which case I will be referring to Vonna Pfeiffer's video probably about 50 times, because it takes a bit of time for me to retain information. But they're excellent, so it's really not a problem. So this is where I am with Melchior, and this is Gaspar here, which is actually what I started in April at the retreat as a new start. So I love their beards, their beaded beards are so cute. So I'd like to get these finished, because obviously they're a set, and I'd like to get them done. Whether they'll be fully finished for Christmas, I'm not sure, but I'd certainly like to get the stitching done as much as possible, hopefully before Christmas. So at least I know it's just a case of finishing them and they'll be ready for the following year. So obviously that's how they come with all your threads need to be separated, but yeah, fabulous. I would definitely recommend doing Mill Hill kits. They're really sweet and cute, although to be honest I think I'll always stitch them on a fabric. And obviously I've picked 28 count, one not only because I had it in my stash, but also because the perforated paper is 14 count, and because there's a lot of beads and things, it's just a straightforward conversion on 28 count. It's exactly the same. Some, they do request that you stitch 3/2 on some of the threads, which is nice. It gives it a nice full coverage, which I like. So especially for decorations or ornaments and things as opposed to pictures. And then the next thing that I'll be dipping into is something that I started ages ago. This is Forrest Snowfall by Country Cottage Needleworks. This is a stitch along, a current stitch along with Priscilla and Chelsea. It isn't the newest one, but it is one that they did ages ago. It says, while snow is softly falling, gliding gently to the ground, our neighbours from the forest cosy up and gather round. And again, I wanted to finish this in a pillow style, similar to Dorothy's Discovery and Pumpkin Hollow Farm. And this is where I've got with this. This is stitched on 25 count pewter, and it's 3/2. And that's where I left off. So really probably not that much left to do. I had to adjust the writing so that it would be English spelling. So neighbours and cosy is spelt differently to the pattern, and I think also, as you may, there was some snowflakes charted. Yeah, there's some snowflakes charted by the deer and the rabbit, and I'm considering putting snowflake buttons on this cushion when it's finished. So this is a grey, yeah, 25 count pewter, I believe it's called. It's a light grey, and this will be great because when I do get it finished, this can actually stay out until the end of February because it's a winter pattern. So unless it's like last year where it was still snowing heavily in March, in which case I'll leave it out. I'll go by actually what the weather's doing outside as to when the season properly changes. So but yeah, so I'll be working on that. So they're how many have I got? Well, there's 3 groups of things here if you count the Country Cottage Needleworks pillow, the Magi trilogy, but I've got 2 of those to do, and if you count the Prairie Schooler Old World Santas, I've got 6 of those to do. Obviously the Gingerbread Village, and finish off that the Clockmaker by Hometown Holidays. Yeah, so it's quite a bit, isn't it? Look, you know, I don't expect to get it all done, but at the end of the day, it's things I can dip into. They're things I can either stitch in hand or put on my Q-snap, so I feel like I'm achieving something and I can rotate it round. And with everything that's going on at the moment, I think I just need it not to be disorganised, but to not be so rigid, because otherwise I was just like with the creation, I was just getting demoralised, and it has nothing to do with the pattern. The pattern's stunning, the design's stunning, I loved the design, but I just couldn't either sit in the craft room because it was full, or I just couldn't spend time in there because there wasn't any to be able to dedicate the sort of time, and I've put so much effort into it and love and care, it'd be silly to sort of almost rush it and not enjoy that bit. So it was like, no, leave the bigger projects to one side and get on with doing what you can handle and you don't mind handling and bashing about and moving around so much, and leave everything that is precious, like big works of art, maybe to another time when things are a bit more settled and organised and you can actually sit and chill. So that's my plan of action, really. So nothing else I believe I need to say. Thank you so much for sticking with me. Stitching, yeah, that too. I have been trying to catch up with Flosstube. I know I don't always comment, and I certainly haven't been commenting back to the people that have so kindly commented on my videos. I'm sorry about that. I can't even say that I can do that again. I do really appreciate your comments, and I will try to answer any questions that you have. just know that you are really appreciated. It's just been a bit difficult time. This year's been quite difficult, and so I haven't been able to dedicate maybe as much time as I would have liked to stitching and to the stitching community, and for that I apologise. And it's a work in progress. I've got to adjust, and in that adjustment I will learn how to deal with getting back into things, because I've missed you guys. It's been really good catching up and being part of this community, and for me it's an escape, and I enjoy your company. So for all those in the UK, have a safe fireworks night. Remember the 5th of November, and hopefully I'll be able to catch up with you soon. There should be 2 other videos up at least, one on finishes, my autumn finishes, or finishes that I finished in autumn, I'm not sure what that's called yet, and my Milton Keynes stitching retreat, October retreat, where I share my secret stitcher, what I received from my secret stitcher, and obviously some of the shenanigans that go on at retreat. Obviously only some. So I will speak to you all very soon. Take care guys. Thanks very much. Bye.